What is up, everybody? Welcome to Eternally Disappointed. There's a lot that's going on with what happened yesterday in football. We've also got a couple games tonight. Most people only really know about the Titans-Dolphins game, especially down here in Florida. But there's also the Giants or Packers. But we'll just get right to yesterday's games and everything that went on and all the big talk from today. You know, the Bills hold on and beat the Chiefs. And immediately, the homers for Buffalo have to come out and think that this is it and we're still alive and this and that. And we need to come back to earth on this, okay? So first off, a couple weeks ago, I changed my opinion on Buffalo not making the playoffs to thinking Buffalo will make the playoffs. But that's more deductive reasoning because the Browns quarterback goes down, the Bengals quarterback goes down, the Steelers aren't playing very well, and right there opens an opportunity. The Colts quarterback goes down. Multitudes of injuries on other teams, especially the quarterback position, is what's opening the door for Buffalo to still be in the playoffs, and that should scare a lot of teams. Since they fired Ken Dorsey, Buffalo has started to play a little bit better here and there, and yesterday was a fucking disaster. Don't get anything mixed up on beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Yesterday was nothing short of a fucking disaster. The game starts out 14-0, and Buffalo's driving to go ahead and put this shit to where, all right, we're talking about a real game here and really putting the foot down on these guys in Arrowhead and turning that into like, okay, maybe this team has turned around. And what do they end up doing? Josh Allen throws a pass trying to make a play happen and fucking... Not only does he not see the defender that's going to come across and make the interception to give the Chiefs good field position to put them back in the game, even if he threw it, the fucking guy was covered. So why does he do that? Why does Josh Allen do nothing but make bad fucking decisions every fucking game? And for some reason, they win the game and they want to talk about, oh, things have changed. No, bullshit. He was 23 for 42 yesterday, meaning he was barely over 50%. And out of the 28 rushes that Buffalo had, this motherfucker had 10 of them. Now, handing the ball off to James Cook was doing wonders for this team. James Cook has become the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be because he's being put into a position to succeed. But after Josh Allen threw that interception, he threw the ball 26 more times. Why? Why? Why is Josh Allen throwing the ball 42 times against a really good defense that pressures and tries to get after the quarterback? Why are we only running the ball 18 times? Because I don't count Josh Allen runs. They're not running plays. One or two are designed. A lot of it's improv. It's bullshit. And it's nothing but sheer stupidity on these guys. Okay? The clock management at the end was horrible. And if it wasn't for an abysmal offsides penalty, which was deserved, and I'm going to get to that in a second. If it wasn't for that saving Buffalo, the season's over. They blew a 14-point lead, and there's nothing more to say than that because they got out of what was helping them. Which means that this Joe Brady guy is, if you're just going to coach like Dorsey would, oh, Josh, you threw an interception? Well, let's try to make up for the interception that you throw by throwing the ball 26 more times. No. Go back to what was working. Running the ball with James Cook was working. Okay? Handing the ball off to your running backs is working better than what we've got going on with Allen. And all of the screens, and fake reverses and this and that. Okay, I understand that you're trying to have safe, conservative plays, but fuck, man, throw the ball down the field at some point. It's too much of a good thing. Josh Allen throwing the ball is too much of a good thing sometimes. Because the dude can make plays, and then he can turn the ball over on the drop of a hat. I did say I thought Buffalo was going to beat Kansas City because I thought the only team more fraudulent than Kansas City is Dallas and probably Miami. I still think Dallas is a fraudulent team. But I said they were going to beat Philly. Philly is at the end of their hard streak. You know, just think about the games that they had to play coming into it. They had to go to Arrowhead on a Monday night, come home to Philly and play Buffalo on Sunday. So you're getting Buffalo with one day less. Then you host San Francisco, and then you go to Dallas, and Dallas has been off for 11 days. So I knew that Philly was going to have some trouble there. Every team goes through a stretch during the season where the season kind of wears on them. Unfortunately, Buffalo went through that against bad teams. And Dallas is about to have that now because Dallas has to go to Buffalo and Miami. And they're going to have to play Detroit eventually. And Detroit's one of those teams that when they're hot, they're white hot. When they're down like they were against Chicago. But when they're good, they're really good, and they're a big problem. And believe me, Detroit is going to be up. They're going to get up to play Dallas. They didn't get up to play Chicago, and it showed. They're going to be ready for Dallas, trying to smack that ass, plus jockeying for playoff position. But Dallas has to go to Miami after they go to Buffalo, and I think they're going to get their asses kicked both times because Dallas is an undisciplined team that will be partying in Miami, and Buffalo does very well against Dallas. Dallas is gonna have some trouble. Back to the Bills-Chiefs game before I get off of it. A lot of people are complaining about the way Mahomes was criticizing the refs, the way Andy Reid was criticizing the refs. Fuck that noise. I think players should criticize the refs more often. The league will never admit when they're wrong. You could have a pass interference call that's completely not pass interference. In the case of Tom Brady, you'll have a face mask that wasn't a face mask that's called on the Chiefs, and the league will never come out and say that we were wrong until it's way past the point. They'll never come out and say we were wrong. We don't stand by these guys. And then if you criticize them, they're going to fine you. Well, more people in the league, especially guys with Mahomes' stature and Andy Reid's stature, pretty much the face of the league the last few years, they should criticize the referees. They should also criticize the other teams. Because the only thing more lackluster and pathetic than the play of the football players this year has been the refereeing. The refereeing is out of control bad. It's not just bad, it's out of control bad. I once again sat yesterday and watched two teams I don't care for, the Jaguars and the Browns, because it was the only thing playing locally. And I can't tell you how many third down stops were just thrown away because they're going to call a penalty on Cleveland. And it's garbage penalties. It's bullshit penalties. And if the pussies who play in the NFL, and that's right, I call the players pussies because they have no spine, they have no backbone, they don't elect a representative to the NFLPA that actually represents them. They're just told what to do and they do it because they're bitches, and that's how bitches act. You're just going to tell them what to do and they're going to do it and not ask any questions. They should be more vocal about refereeing. They should be up Roger Goodell's ass saying, get better referees out here or we're not fucking playing this shit anymore. And fans need to do the same thing. One of these days, especially if it's in Philly or New York, the refs are going to do something to cost the team a game, or they're going to have continuous penalties on third down, allowing the team that the league wants to win to stay in the game, and they're just going to eat a bunch of beer bottles from the upper deck. You're just going to have a shower, a thunderstorm of glass, or maybe they don't sell bottles in the stadium anymore. Something will be coming. Is there ice? That's going to be coming down on you. Or they're going to wait for the refs to leave the game and beat the shit out of them in the parking lot, like the bitch-ass Eagles fans do to people who wear opposing teams' jerseys. But people from Philly are bitches as well, and that's why they have to gang up on people like that. If it was me in the parking lot getting beer thrown at me, I'll shoot the fuck out of all of them. But Philadelphia fans, you guys are a bunch of bitches, and you deserve what you got yesterday. Mahomes, since he's pretty much the face of the league as far as quarterbacks go, I'm glad he fucking had something to say. I'm glad he was having to be held back from screaming at the referees. Because they'll go ahead and they'll punish, the guy from the Vegas, O'Connell, I think his name is. They'll go ahead and they'll go ahead and give, Baker Mayfield a slap on the wrist for criticizing the referees. They'll go ahead and tell Marshawn Lynch he's got to go do a Super Bowl press conference or they're going to fine him and he's just going to eat Skittles all day and say, I'm just here so I don't get fined. But when Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid stand up and say the refereeing is garbage, something needs to be done about it. They should do it more. You should never let a game be lost. And the fucking referees played a part and go, well, I'm not going to use this as an excuse and say that's the reason we lost. No, fuck that shit. If the referees don't ref the game properly, consistently, at the highest level, then why should any game be fair? Why doesn't the league just say, these are the 4 teams we want in the conference championships, and then forget the rest of the season? But coaches are brought up in a way where they're like, we're just going to take the high road. Never take the high road. Conservatives in America do the same thing. They're like, we're just going to take the high road. Nah, fuck that shit. Idiot liberals want to scream at you, get in their face, beat the shit out of them. Teach them not to do that shit again, especially in Florida, because you won't get in trouble for it in Florida. So more coaches and more players should come out. And then they should tell the league, like, I'm not paying your fucking fine. You know who you can get to pay your fine? You can take it out of the ref's salary, the guy that cost the game, and got all your fans pissed. In the offseason this year, because it's a little too late, like, I'm going to start talking about boycotting the NFL until, and all fans should say, listen, we want the NFL closer to the way it used to be. We want the players to be able to play, and the referees need to ref right down the middle. Some of those holding calls in Buffalo yesterday, complete garbage. Almost every call against the Cleveland Browns yesterday, complete garbage. So I understand why Mahomes feels that way. It was a great play, eliminated by a stupid offsides penalty that had nothing to do with how the play, progressed. Buffalo's defense had more to do with it than anything. Buffalo's lack of clock management, running 3 pass plays before the 2-minute warning, had something to do with it. And finally, Mahomes and Andy Reid grew some balls and said, we're not going to take this shit. Fuck these referees. These guys are trash. Because there's no punishment for the referees getting it wrong. And there needs to be. There really needs to be. I'm surprised I'm surprised players don't just walk over and beat the fuck out of a referee. I'm surprised that doesn't happen. Now, I know during the games and stuff they talk, and there's probably a little bit more of a personal relationship there. But the refereeing has to get better. The play on the field has to get better. A lot of things need to change. So for all these idiots on FS1 and on ESPN and all the mainstream media saying Mahomes should have taken the high road, now there's no taking the high road when it comes to people who aren't playing the game having an effect on the game. And am I happy Buffalo won? Yeah. One, because I was right. I knew they'd beat Kansas City, but because deep down inside I still am a Bills fan, even though they always disappoint. But Kansas City, they have a reason to be upset. Now, they were offsides. They did commit the penalty, so no matter what you want to say about, sometimes the refs give you a warning, this and that. This happened at the end of it. No. I'm not a fan of that shit like, well, it's under 2 minutes, things are different. No, because if it's under 2 minutes and things are different, why don't we have a shortened play clock so that you can't just kneel the ball? That you have to actually run plays and get a first down until you can't. Why don't we go to a 10-second play clock? So just because it's within 2 minutes doesn't mean things change. The same penalty that should be called on the first or second play of the game should be called on the last play of the game. And maybe there's an exception for Hail Marys, because I'm not a big fan of spot fouls. Like, we're going to throw the ball 55 yards, and because the DB doesn't look back in time, it's a spot foul. Like, nah, that's a little bit too much. That's a little ticky-tack on Hail Mary. So I can let that one slide. But if he was offsides or he was in the neutral zone, the penalty deserved to be called. But I'm still a fan of Mahomes and Reid coming out there and hollering about the league, because maybe that'll get them to change. The only way you're going to get real change is by taking money from the league. The way you take money is to get people to stop watching it. And I don't think that's going to happen, but I do notice that there's less people that give a shit about football. I actually stopped watching football for a while. There's a reason that I got back into it that has to do with some stuff that I don't want to talk about. But there will come a day it'll be easy for me to walk away from football, because it's just, it doesn't matter. It's not worth it. But until then, I'm going to keep watching. Until then, I'm going to keep criticizing, and you should too. And for all the people that have been watching my videos and sending me criticism, I appreciate it. I was talking to a guy about the UFC the other day, and he disagrees with how I present myself talking about female fighters. And, I 100%, I'm down with the feedback as long as you're not talking shit. You know what I mean? It's fine with me. People have different opinions. That's why I do this, and I welcome any feedback, good or bad, as long as we're not sitting here going at it and scheduling appointments and meet each other in the parking lot to fight somewhere. So Buffalo wins in Buffalo fashion. They should have lost the game. And before they should have lost the game, they should have never been in a position to lose the game. But Josh Allen throws one interception, and all of a sudden we go from having a well-balanced offense that runs the ball efficiently and has safe throws that are leading to deeper throws. Now we're just going to throw the ball 26 more times, including 3 times before the 2-minute warning. That's the shit that gets Buffalo to lose games. But fortunately for Buffalo, Kansas City is also slacking a little bit in the discipline department, and they ended up losing the game rather than Buffalo winning. Buffalo hosts Dallas next week. I think they're going to crush Dallas. I think Dallas is a fraudulent team that has had nothing but an easy schedule and is playing Philly coming off of an 11-day rest after almost losing to a team that is 6-7. UFC 296 this weekend. I'm going to make a video on the Covington-Edwards fight and pretty much that whole card because they like to stack the card at the end of the year. I have nothing really relevant to say about the Gutierrez Song card or the Anthony Smith-Roundtree fight. You know, there was a couple interesting finishes in there, but nothing really to write home about that card. Hopefully 296 is going to be another banger, and we're going to have a wild time. So, hope you enjoyed the rant. Buffalo's still in this thing. Kansas City's slipping a little bit. Dallas thinks they're hot. They're coming off an emotional win at home against Philly. Now they get to go 50 degrees colder into Buffalo and get mud stomped like they deserve. Only to thaw out in Miami, party too much, and get crushed by Miami. But we take it a week at a time, my friends. Enjoy the games tonight. I'm off to jiu-jitsu practice. See you on the other side, fuckers.